can have significant political differences about who we want to be our next president, about the policies that we think will help our country and the world, and condemn that kind of rhetoric. It has absolutely no place.
Yeah, just a couple of days ago, this clip that you guys are seeing in the B-roll footage was posted to Twitter. Well, it wasn't really so much posted to Twitter. It was pretty much posted everywhere. And, of course, it was Hillary Clinton, of all people, Miss Piggy, saying the left should tone down the rhetoric. However, if you look a little bit deeper, you will find out that the person who posted said clip also made a mashup of some of the times that Hillary Clinton called the orange guy Hitler.
Putin does what he would like to do: kill his opposition, imprison his opposition, drive, journalists and others into exile, rule without any check or balance. That's what Trump really wants.
Well, Hitler was duly elected.
That's right.
Right? And so all of a sudden, somebody with those tendencies, those dictatorial, authoritarian tendencies, would be like, oh, okay, we're going to shut this down. We're going to throw these people in jail. And they didn't usually telegraph that. Trump is telling us what he intends to do.
Now, guys, if there's a little theme that you guys have picked up on, if that theme is why in the world should we expect these people's rhetoric to stop, then I'm pretty sure that you guys probably would have already figured out that the Democratic Party has a history of doing this, especially to anybody who is right of far left or right of them. They have a history of it. As a matter of fact, Steven Crowder did like a 25-minute video on this that I will be linking in the description box of all the times that they call Republican nominees Hitler, or fascist, or Nazi. They have a history of doing so. But then again, if you watched Dinesh D'Souza's Death of a Nation, then you would probably figure out that the current Democratic Party is in fact doing exactly what it is that they accuse you of, which of course is something that they are guilty of themselves. And of course, that right there is being fascist themselves. But I don't think I have to give you every single example. Like I said, that video right there will be left in the description box. But I'll basically give you a quick rundown. Ever since the days of Barry Goldwater, when he ran for the presidency in 1964, they had this thing about labeling anybody who's a Republican a fascist or Hitler. This is just kind of sort of their shtick. However, it's gotten to the point now to where you have what appears to be a third assassination attempt or a third assassination plot basically foiled by the FBI. And, of course, they're going to blame Iran, China, and, of course, if you look at this last guy, Ruth, you would see a lot of connections to him in Ukraine, or a lot of love from this guy for the country of Ukraine. And also, while these people tell you that this guy was a registered Republican, you will also notice in the Daily Mail article that this guy right here was clearly, especially by his donations, clearly a Biden-Harris guy. And another thing, too, this guy's son literally just got arrested for CP. Article will be linked in the description box. As you guys can obviously see, that there is a bit of a theme for this video. And, of course, that theme is that this type of rhetoric appears to be appealing to the mentally ill. Now, guys, I plan on doing a bigger video on mental illness in the left. And of course, I've not gotten to that. I actually did do a video that kind of touched on this, where I went through the studies. But of course, it's one of those videos that I basically just gave voiceover commentary to some articles that I have been reading. But of course, we'll put that together in a nice little package at a later date. The fact of the matter is that this type of rhetoric that gets spewed out there by the current Democratic Party, the mainstream media, does in fact appeal to the worst types of people, the people who would actually go through with an act like this. But of course, if you actually look at the way these people act and the narratives that they carry, it should not surprise you that these people continue to do such bidding or such rhetoric, especially given the fact that they can't run on policy. Now, there are two reasons why it is these people are like this. Now, guys, in the B-roll footage, you guys are seeing some footage from a Piers Morgan segment involving Cenk Uygur and Eric Prince with Candace Owens. Now, I'll be releasing a video reaction to that there, giving you guys my honest thoughts on feminized men and why it is they are the way they are in video, and one of the videos that comes out on Thursday. I'll probably also do a video on the situation with Chicago and the gangs either tomorrow or on Thursday, either one of the two. I may go ahead and release that video tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure exactly how I'm going to do that, but of course, we're going to try to keep with the schedule of 2 videos a day for the time being. I know I released 3 videos today, but still, though, just give you guys the heads up. Now, the reason why I'm referencing this right now in a video about Rhetoric is because Eric Prince, who, by the way, is a PMC, owns a private military contracting company, he had this right here in regards to say to the rhetoric that the left loves to spew.
Going back to your topic, Pierce, perhaps it's time to bring back 19th century behavior, which maybe we had a more civil society then. If people are going to throw all kinds of bombastic language, they do so because they do it without consequence.
He's correct. That right there is reason number one why it is these people are the way they are. They know that nobody's going to hold them accountable, so therefore they're going to continue to use this type of rhetoric. Now, somebody may come in the comment section, and I would somewhat agree with what they say if they say, maybe if you just cut the television off and maybe if you just kind of ignored these people, this type of rhetoric would go away and these types of things would in fact not happen. But remember, it is an election year. These people need the ratings, and these people are going to be throwing all kinds of takes out there. I mean, Tim Pool was talking about this earlier in his video today, and he talked about the possibility of October surprises or an October surprise. I think we're well beyond the point of an October surprise, even though it's not October yet. I think we're at the point in time where the news cycle moves so daggone fast that anything could be an October surprise.
We just don't know yet. Could they all be related? I don't know. I have no idea, man. I'm just telling you. If it's come this far and it's been normalized to this degree, I fear that we ain't seen nothing yet. October surprise? We're a week away from October. A week from October.
I want to throw this right here out there before we go any further. This video right here will also, at the very, very end, I'll be telling you exactly what kind of, what exactly happens to these people after spewing all this rhetoric. Like what does it actually end up leading to for them, the people who are actually spouting the rhetoric? I'll be talking about that more so towards the end, so make sure you guys stick around for the full video. Like I said, we still got a lot to go through, but I just figured I'd point that out before we go any further. Rhetoric is aimed towards mostly feminized men or effeminized men. You see, these people, a lot of them don't think that this rhetoric is real life. They don't think it affects real life. But we've had 2 recent assassination attempts, or one that was actually one that got a hold of the man's ear, and another one where the Secret Service did not actually clear the area going forward, which is a failure on them as well as the first one. But now you get this article from Time Life basically showing you that another attempt was foiled. It makes you wonder where this entire thing is going to end. And I'm here to tell you guys right now that their rhetoric is probably only going to get worse. However, the thing about their rhetoric is at some point in time, eventually people do in fact tune them out and eventually stop listening to them. After a while, next thing you know, instead of screaming into a crowd of people who are listening to you, you're screaming into an echo chamber where nobody is there. And then next thing you know, loneliness eventually sets in. I'm not going to tell you guys what ends up happening as a result of said loneliness, especially seeing how it is that once again, I have to remind people that, yeah, you know, the left, mental illness, all that type of stuff there, just simply saying, let's get back on track. Yeah, but the point is this right here. These people don't get held accountable, and that right there is the reason why it is they continue to do this. Now, I want you to think about something really quick. Of all the mainstream news networks that we have, and MSDNC, for some odd reason, has chosen to go almost in the direction of full-blown commentary, and that, of course, is left-wing commentary, to the point to where it's almost like the scene in 1984, the film version, not just the book, where these people literally screamed and hollered hate rhetoric at the television itself or at the screen itself because they have been ordered to do so. Yes, I know I just hit the phone again. I apologize if you guys caught that. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of give myself up. But you can see this in the way these people act and the way these people respond to things. Now, I referenced the Piers Morgan segment earlier, which, by the way, we'll do a bigger video on a little bit later on this week. And not to mention, there'll be like 2 segments from Piers Morgan we'll be doing a video on this week. Yeah, there's also the one I forgot to do, or the one I've not been able to get out. But the point is this right here. Typically, with groups like, say, TYT, it's mostly performative. Jink is very, very much a performative person. But we'll talk more about him and feminized men at a later date. Whereas the mainstream news, on the other hand, they're trying to appeal to people who are like in the airport, people who have to basically are forced to be subjected to it in spots that, quite frankly, they have no choice but to watch TV and to obviously pass the time. This type of rhetoric is designed to attract certain types of people, and they don't seem to realize that that's what they're doing. Or maybe it is, in fact, by design that they are doing this. Maybe they are, in fact, trying to appeal to mentally ill people. And I have said this before, that when it comes to the left and mental illness, these two are right for one another. There's all kinds of studies to show that people on the left typically tend to be much, much more medicated, typically tend to be more depressed, more anxious, and also at the same time, typically tend, especially if they're white liberals, to have one or multiple mental disorders. And not to mention the fact that it's a completely, totally self-defeating ideology. I mean, these people are aborting their kids at ridiculous rates, and left-wing men are getting vasectomies voluntarily. And even though said that vasectomies can be reversed, it's not always a guarantee that they can be. But then we enter the case of the Never Trumper that I talked about in the video that came out on the 24th around lunchtime. The Joe Scarborough rant, the guy Brett Stevens, the guy that we're talking about, and of course, this where it was on Bill Maher. Now, I want to say this really, really quick about Bill Maher. To anybody out there who believes that this guy is one of you, and to anybody who believes that because he came out at the beginning of this show and basically told his crowd to stop cheering on assassination attempts and to tone down the rhetoric, that does not mean that Bill Maher is on your side. He's still very, very much a liberal. He's still very, very much a person who cannot stand you, the conservative voter, as a person. He is still very, very much orange man bad. This is the same guy, if you guys remember correctly, who was rooting on a recession going into 2020 to get Donald Trump out of office and was upset that the impeachment on Donald Trump actually made him stronger. Do I need to remind you?
Economy. So please bring on the recession. Sorry if that hurts people.
No, he is not your friend. I don't know how many times I gotta say this, but as long as Bill Maher is up here, I'm going to continue to hit him every chance I can get because he helped create the nonsense that we are dealing with today. But about that interview with Brett Stevens. Now, guys, the reason why I'm using this small 2-minute segment with interruptions is because you need to see the mindset of these people and the complete total lack of reflection upon themselves. Remember, these are the people who accuse you of that with which they are already guilty of. Let's go ahead and roll this.
In the country, which would be also the kind of rhetoric that would make a borderline person shoot at you. But I mean, he's right. Rhetoric has consequences, but he is possibly the worst person to make this case.
Yeah, I mean, it's the pot calling the kettle black. I think that's what the expression was basically born for.
I mean, he's used
This is the guy who called the media the enemy of the American people.
Scum, vermin.
All these phrases. Now, of course, he's absolutely right that we.
Actually, Brett, Trump is correct. The mainstream media is, in fact, the enemy of the people. And I would say the mainstream press, even a lot of mainstream personalities are. I mean, every night, late night TV took the position of throwing hateful venom at Donald Trump. Every day, MSDNC did the exact same thing. Every day, CNN did the exact same thing. I mean, it's the mainstream media in this country that actually helped divide it. And they did it using the pro wrestling model, or maybe that was actually their original intention. But still, at the same time, though, Trump is actually correct. And, of course, Brett Stevens, being a Never Trumper himself, who, by the way, is on the fence about supporting Kamala Harris, who, by the way, MSNBC went out of their way to bully into trying to support her. Don't worry, I did a video on that. I'll link in the end cards at the end. The fact of the matter is that Trump is actually correct. The mainstream media is, in fact, vermin. They are, in fact, the enemy of the people because they're the ones who spew this rhetoric the most. But let us continue.
Tone it down. When we're calling our opponents the end of democracy, the end of Western civilization, we're not helping our arguments.
I disagree. That's a dumb argument, I think, because you what? No, that's their argument, which is that you guys are saying Trump is a threat to democracy. But he is a threat to democracy. The answer can't be that we can't say what's true.
Bill, you literally had to open your show telling your crowd, which is a left-leaning crowd, to stop with the rhetoric and stop celebrating assassination attempts on former President Trump. Really, dude? Bill, last I checked, it was Trump that was the one that was getting shot at. Did you think maybe it's possible that rhetoric is causing this? Oh, that's right. Bill Maher lives on his own farts, and he lives on the crowd reaction, which quite frankly is pretty fake. I mean, I remember there was a video that came out a long time ago, and I'm not a fan of Dan Crenshaw because of how many times he screwed conservatives over, but they basically did a bit of a discussion during COVID, and Bill got absolutely destroyed by this guy. The fact of the matter is that if Bill Maher does not have the crowd there with him, he's really nothing. But let's get back on topic.
What's true. And the left has to do that too.
No, I'm sorry, but every time the left calls Trump a threat to democracy, Americans remember that in 2016, guys like me were calling Trump a threat to democracy, and here we are. I don't
And
think
he was then.
And that dog is not going to hunt. You have to say the case against Trump is that he's going to be a terrible president who's going to divide the country, that is going to accomplish absolutely nothing, that is going to embarrass us in front of the world, and is going to conduct a miserable foreign policy. But those are
But Brett, they can't run on policy. That's who the hell these people are. They run on orange man bad. But before I get to the overall conclusion and tell you what probably ends up happening as a result of this, because this video right here was not meant to be that long, I want you guys to pay very, very close attention to the next 17 seconds and pay attention to this woman who, by the way, works for MSDNC, and pay attention to how she simply responded to this, because this right here tells you everything you need to know about these people. Logic and reason can no longer reach them. But let me show you.
You don't stop calling out the truth because people aren't listening, right? When Donald Trump tells lie after lie, you don't say, well, nobody seems to care. It's our job in the media, right? When people complain, Donald Trump got fact-checked way more than Kamala Harris did. You're damn right he did. You know why? He told more lies.
During the debate, Donald Trump was fact-checked like 5 separate times, and Kamala Harris told the Charlottesville lie. She also had another moment that went viral where she said there were no troops overseas, even though the troops were in fact overseas, troops who had just survived a bombing a couple of weeks prior. The video went absolutely viral, and of course, she got away with that one. The American people saw exactly how biased the mainstream media was during that debate, and of course, we also found out that the woman that was helping out with the moderation was a sorority sister of Kamala Harris. Also, David Muir, his ratings have gone down since he's been back at ABC. The fact of the matter is this right here. Everybody knows that the mainstream media is, in fact, biased against Republicans. They've been screaming this rhetoric for years to the point where people have gotten desensitized. And I did talk about that. However, this desensitization does, in fact, come at a cost. Before I tell you what that cost is, I need you guys to notice something. It's because there is not so much disgust and disdain for Donald Trump. It's really disgust and disdain for you, the viewer. It's really disgust and disdain for you, the working class Joe, the working class person, the working class hero. That right there is what the hell it really and truly is. The vast majority of these people don't seem to understand that, we'll take, for example, they don't seem to understand where milk comes from, for example. Milk, of course, comes from a cow. They believe it comes from a store, not the cow. They don't seem to realize that there is a source. These people also don't seem to realize that if push comes shove, and if things did in fact get nasty in this country, they're screwed because they're all on the coast, and nobody's going to want to let them beyond the bridges, of course, that these cities are connected to. Look at San Francisco, you got to take a bridge to get across. Look at New York, you got to take a bridge to get to all the boroughs, unless, of course, you're on Long Island. To go on top of that there, you got to take bridges to get into Boston. The fact of the matter is this right here. If these people were cut off, these people would be absolutely screwed. So it makes you wonder why it is these people have gotten this way. Well, the real reason why it is these people have gotten this way is exactly what Eric Prince had said earlier. These right here are people who have gotten very, very comfortable behind the screen. These right here are people who, quite frankly, are never going to be held accountable. They're, for the most part, what you would call online bots. However, they don't seem to realize, or maybe they do realize, they don't seem to care that their rhetoric is pandered towards the mentally ill. And they could, quite frankly, give a crap less what the hell happens to the average Joe who lives out in the middle of a quote-unquote flyover country, which, quite frankly, we should not be calling flyover country. We should be calling scenic country because it is, in fact, very, very scenic. And, of course, it's also where a lot of the things that we need for life actually grow from. Grow at is what I meant to say. The truth be told is the more and more and more of these people use this type of rhetoric, the more and more it insulates them from others. Take a look at Brett Stevens one more time. He is very, very much a never Trump guy. I did a video on this by her earlier today. He isn't planning on voting for Donald Trump, but of course they're trying to bully him into voting for Kamala Harris, even though he doesn't really want to. People like him eventually just get up and walk away from the crowd. After they've been bullied enough, they say, I ain't got time for this crap. I can't win anywhere. And they eventually just disappear and you don't see him anymore. Meanwhile, the liberals, people like, say, Bill Maher or the lady you just saw there, just further insulate themselves more and more and more away from society. They actually alienate the people they claim to be close with. You see, politics has gotten personal in this country, and after a while, people just stop giving a crap about people because guess what? They lose overall sympathy and empathy for an individual who continues to insult them every day, every chance they get. I mean, look at Caitlin Collins at CNN. At one time, she worked for the Daily Caller, and now her family down in Alabama wants absolutely nothing to do with her because of the rhetoric she spews every day. You see, they don't just view the rhetoric against Donald Trump as rhetoric against Donald Trump. They view this as rhetoric against them because they are his voters. They are his support base. Kind of like myself. Me personally, I'm kind of used to this rhetoric because obviously as a prior service Marine, I'm used to having somebody hurl insults at me. It doesn't really bother me that bad, but still at the same time, people do eventually start to lose feelings because you've hurt their feelings on so many occasions, you've insulted them so many times, that after a while, they do eventually find themselves moving the hell away from you. Meaning that these right here are people who, quite frankly, are going to care a lot less when they find out who the hell you are, and they're probably less inclined to help you out someday when you need them when it comes to simple stuff that, quite frankly, you yourself may need. Have you guys ever found it kind of strange? And here's what I mean by what you may need. Have you guys ever found it kind of odd that they love to use the term uneducated, non-educated whites, uneducated workers? You guys ever thought about that? What you could just simply say is, hey, look, these right here are trade workers, people who don't have college degrees, people who work in the service industry. That right there would probably be the better thing. You know, things that we need. People who work at the grocery stores, who get products for us, or people who fix our cars, fit pipes, build things that we need. People that you're going to need that you really, truly actually rely upon, because a lot of these people that you rely upon are the ones who supply the everyday things that you quite frankly need. After a while, when you find yourself fully insulated away from these people, you will see exactly how much your life really and truly sucks. The truth be told is the path to liberalism through this rhetoric is the same path to pure loneliness and pure nothingness and mental illness. I don't think I need to tell you what happens next after that, but of course, I've gone on long enough about this. The fact of the matter is that this rhetoric will not change from these people. This rhetoric right here will continue. It will get even worse and worse and worse. However, the more and more and more their crowd begins to shrink, the more and more and more people begin to walk away from them, their voice will just simply get louder and louder and louder. However, I don't think there'll be that many people who will have their ears open to hear them cry and whine about their situations, because they will, in fact, be 100% lonely. And that right there is the end result of all their rhetoric. But you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.